Coming up on the next episode. Good Saturday afternoon to you all, YouTube. It is 3:06 now in the PM. I am at the bench once more. I have the POG in front of me. All that's said for this. Some of you guys may know that I was contacted. I'm trying to think now what day it was. Thursday or Friday. Thursday maybe, by Brendan. You guys may know him from people like Ron C., John from Arkansas, Buzz, Bill, old 64 Goat, have talked about Brendan. And he wrote me a nice email and introduced himself, and we started a conversation, and lo and behold, we ended up on this. He said he wanted to help me out with it, and I said, well, I appreciate the help. And so this is what we have been doing on it. I can sort of recap on this. He had me check a few things, and I've done those, and we come back with this and that. Also, during this time, actually right before he had contacted me, I had discovered a I won't say a website, but a PDF file of a NRI type course, just covering just this problem here that I was having, the spurious signals, the oscillations, birdies, whatever you want to call that, that occurs in some of these radios. And so I had started looking at that pretty heavily. Because I'll admit I am not up on the most of this. It's one of those problems that doesn't happen often, but you like to know what causes it and the cures for it when it does happen. So anyway, I started reading that, and I'd gotten into the troubleshooting part of it, and one of the options for doing that troubleshooting was to take a point, I think they said 0.1 to 0.5 cap. To ground, and basically ground out the control grids from the output tube all the way back to the converter tube, one at a time, to see where the the oscillations stop at. And I made it as far back as the converter tube. In other words, each time I would ground out, like the when I say ground out, we're grounding out the RF, I guess is what you're doing. But anyway, it would, I still hear sound, but you won't hear the oscillations, the birdies. So I did that back for the output. I did it for the first audio tube, and then I went to the IF tube, and then the converter tube. And like I said, each one of those, each one of them would cause the oscillations to go away until I got to the converter. The converter wasn't actually birdies, but you could hear a low frequency rumble type. I won't even call it motorboating, but it was close to motorboating. It was a put put put, boom boom boom, or bump bump bump, whatever you want to call it. In that, so I then tried I relayed that information to Brendan. And he suggested doing the same thing on the screen grid, which I did. And at that point, you could clearly hear the oscillations in the converter, but you could not hear them in the next tube up, which is the 12SK7 IF tube. So from that, Brendan came up with the idea of taking a 0.5 cap like this one, and putting one side to ground and taking the other side to the from basically the screen grid, or if you want to think of it another way, the input to the input from B plus into the IF tube, or IF tube, and that was that proved to make everything go away. I mean, that completely cured the birdie problem, and I'm going to play it here for you right now. I haven't got this in yet. What I'm going to do is to install this again from this point here, and I'll show you on the schematic. I've already changed the schematic, and I'll put that point there to ground is what I'm going to put that, and that is a 0.5, and I'm sorry, 0.05. I'll get this straight. But anyway, that's where I'm going to put it, and once I get it in there permanently, then we're going to take and do a alignment of this radio. I peaked it up several times, but with this on there, it's going to change things a little bit, so we're going to do that. Let me plug it in here and show you what we got. As I said, this is it did change things a lot, but I think it did really change the alignment a little bit, because I don't get quite the sensitivity out of the radio now that I did before. Obviously that's true when you do stuff like that. So I think that will make a difference. It's already tuned to the local station, so you can hear basically not picking up much but the local station, but it picks it up, and you don't hear the birdies. You can tune around the dial now, and you don't really hear those birdies. So that quieted it right down, which is basically what we're after. You still hear the stations, you can tell when you're on a station or some kind of signal, but you don't hear the birdies associated with it, so that's good. Brendan told me that some of the AA5 radio circuits he's seen has that capacitor in there, and of course the one I chose to mimic for this radio didn't. Now that's a good chance that the original kit of parts that came with this radio may have had that in there, and may have wanted that in there. I don't know. I have no way of knowing that, because I don't have a schematic for it, and I obviously don't have, some parts were missing. Obviously the IF cans were missing, and that was another fear of Brendan's, was that the IF cans were not a close enough match on this set. Obviously they're close enough to make it work, but maybe not close enough to make it as sensitive as it could be. So he thinks it should get more stations here, but that's really been my experience so far with all the radios I've put in here. Now there are a few exceptional radios that will pick up maybe WHAS out of Louisville along with our local station, but that's about it. That's about all I get here back in the shop. So now I'm not saying that would be the same outside, but it is right here in the shop. So so that's our deal. Like I said, you heard it work, and it still works rather well. Let me get back over here to the station. I'm not gonna play a lot of music. I got copyright hits yet on the music I played yesterday on the video that I posted today in the car. So they weren't really hits. They were just matches, I guess is what you'd call them. The one song was blocked in several countries, but not in this one, and not, I think they were North Korea, places like that, they were blocked in, so not a big deal. Anywho, that's what's going on, and like I said, I want to personally thank Brendan for his help in this. Again, this was just one of those things that, I knew there had to be something, some drain of some kind, because what I've read in that NRI pamphlet, I'm going to post a link to that too. That's a helpful, for a problem like this, very helpful information there. And, it tells you basically where all these spurious signals are coming from, and how to tell whether they're internal or external, and things like that. So again, very happy about that. And so that's like I said, it just shows you that's how you do it. I think there's a ground lug right there. Use my pointer so you don't know. There, right there is a ground lug that I had made for, or not made for, but it was for used for something else. And I'll probably just use it and ground that right there, because that would be very simple to do right there. Oh, I know what that is. That's the screw, or not screw, but the bolt that holds the IF can in. And I think I did put one of those ground lugs on there. And so that will be a good place to do that. So excellent. So that we can do, and we will do that, and I'll come back after I get that done and show you what we got. Well, I am back once more. Didn't get very far. The tab for this pin here, the screen grid that I was trying to connect the capacitor to, broke off. It is down here on the desk. I think you can see it there. Right there, and that solder that was on there just kind of flaked off. I'm wondering now if maybe whoever soldered it with originally put the wrong kind of solder on it. It doesn't look right. It wasn't melting very well with my soldering iron either. So this particular tube socket already had a tube pin or a tab broke off over here. As you can see, I've got that, but there was enough of the tab left where I could put a solder blob, I guess is what you would call it, on there, and then put a good solder blob on the wire and put them together and make them a good connection. Not the best, I understand that. It's not the way it's supposed to be done, but given the circumstances, that was the best I could do at the time, and it was fine until I came on this little problem. Again, that broke off in a way underneath there somewhere, where between the actual tube pin socket and the tab underneath there, and so this is going to have to be replaced. That's all I can do at this point. There is no other way out of this that I can see, so I'm going to have to find a replacement octal socket and just put a new one in here and go from there, because that's one I can get away with maybe on that one, and as long as it's working well, but this was too much. There was already 2 wires attached to that tab there, and I thought, well, if I can get those off and clean off the tab, I can go ahead and put the capacitor in there as well, and I thought that would work, and it probably would have if I hadn't got hadn't broke off, but I had to bend it a little bit this way, and when I bent it that way, it already snapped before I did anything else. So it was really weak. These are pretty cheap tube sockets. So like I say, I'm going to go ahead and try to find one of these, and we will go from there, I guess. Obviously there's not going to be any alignment video for Monday. This is what I will post on Monday, and we can see the problem, or see the dilemma I have run into. So that's it on this one until I get my tube socket, and I'll probably in the meantime go ahead and drill this one out. It's riveted in here and here, and then there's 2 rivets that hold the socket together. The phenolic wafers and the pins and all that are held together with these 2 on the outside, which, that's neither here nor there. If I had a pin to put back in there, I could probably fix this one, something like this, but I don't have anything like that. That's something the 3D printer won't make, unfortunately. So again, that's where I'm stuck at right now, and once I get this all drilled out and everything and find a source for this, I'm pretty sure I can find one, but it's just going to take some time to do. And like I said, I was really looking forward to kind of, I won't say finishing this off, but at least getting it back into the cabinet maybe, and looking. I don't know if you guys had noticed this, but I did get this dowel to go all the way around now. It does go all the way around, and that was an accomplishment in itself. So as you can see, it stops there, goes all the way around to here, So it's pretty much set right on, and like I said, it's that's good. So anyway, that part got fixed, and I really don't know what I did, but you can see this. It's like a powdery substance. It's like a corrosion or something like that, and that's on there, and that's on this top part too. I don't know if you noticed it up here on this speaker and things like that. It's got that same type of corrosion on it, and like I said, it's just, I don't know if it's from sitting or I think this is an aluminum chassis, and that may be part of it. I don't know if there's a reaction between the steel and the aluminum that may cause that. I don't know, but whatever it is there. So that's the one way of putting it, I guess. Anyway, that's where I'm at on this, and again, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off here and work on trying to get this out, and I may bring you back to show you that, but once I get it out, and I've got, obviously got pictures of how the wires connect here, and more importantly, I've got my schematic to go by, so that shouldn't be a problem. Like I said, that's a good showing there. This wire here went over here to the pin that broke off. I was putting it up out of the way, and this one here goes down to the same place, and they both connected to that pin, and that's where my capacitor will also connect. So once I get that in, I will get everything connected back like it's supposed to be, and that'll be the end of that, hopefully. Alright, well there, as promised, I brought you back for the reveal of the tube socket being removed. There it is. I just drilled out the top rivets. They were easier to get to, and once I did that, it fell right out pretty much. So that's that. Now, again, finding a replacement may prove difficult. I don't know. I've never actually tried to find one of these. So if anybody's got any suggestions, please put them in the comments. They would be appreciated. And like I say, I want to get this replaced because it already had this. Let's see, which one was it? This one here. Yeah, you can see there. I'd built up. I got in there with a screwdriver and put a real good shiny surface on what was left, and then I took my soldering iron and put in solder. And solder coated it pretty good. I know it was sticking. I had it pretty hot, and like I said, I just did the same thing with that one. Built up some solder on it and then stuck them together and put the soldering on and held it until it was good and attached. And it really held pretty good. I was kind of surprised, but again, I'd rather, there's the one that came off right there. So. Again, these come apart. Like I said, you could put a new pin in if you just take these rivets here out, and of course you'd have to either re-rivet them or something. It would be a mess to probably contend with. But so anyway, we'll get a new one. I can either re-rivet it back in or screw it in. It's not a big deal, just as long as it's in there. So that's that. So I want to bring you back for that, and that's it. Alright, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see ya.